Hey guys, just going to show you a really quick video about how we might grill some poultry on our Pig and Pilgrim Sideburn grill. We're going to work with the duck today because it's what I've got on hand. We use them in the restaurant a bit, but this will also work with chicken, or if you can definitely use something like spit roast if you've got it, that's awesome. But what we're going to do today is just butterfly it open so you can cook it on the grill. We're just going to run down the back, either side of the spine, and then open it up. So we're being pretty rough with this, but just running along the side of the spine, in behind where the thigh joint comes in. Kind of snap that out. You can also see where that joint was, makes it a bit easier for you to find your spot, and then run back up towards the top. This duck here we have blanched in boiling water. We do that to help dry out the skin a little bit more. It tightens the skin up, lets it dry. With chickens, you don't really need to do that. You can get away without doing it for a duck as well, but it does help to give you a better, crispier skin. So basically, we've just taken the whole duck, dropped it in boiling water for a minute, and then we let it hang in the fridge for, this one's been about 5 days, but even just a day or two helps. And then open it up, give it a bit of a snap through there, get it looking as flat as possible. You might want to trim off excess bits of fat. This one's not too bad, but sometimes if there's a bit too much fat with something like this, it might cause you a bit of grief on the grill, sort of flare up a little bit. So you might just lose a little bit of that, but you don't want to lose too much because that fat and that skin, that's where all the flavour is. We'll just flatten them out. So we've got our duck butterfly, got some spices and some herbs inside the cavity. We're going to get some salt on the skin side as well. This is a really great little basket that you can use for grilling something like a duck or a chicken or a whole fish. You can see it's got 2 pieces and it comes together. You can also use 2 racks. You might use a bit of wire to attach the 2. I sometimes did that when I didn't have a basket. Or you can use 2 racks and then some tongs and some cloths to hold them very carefully and flip them over if you're feeling game. I've definitely done that a few times. So at this point, we're going to get him sitting skin side up for a while above the grill. So passively cooking, getting a bit of heat, getting a bit of smoke, flip it around a few times just so it gets nice and even. What we want to see here is the skin start to really dry out. We want to wait till we've got a nice, intense cooking surface. Ideally, what you'd like to do is sort of offset it, get the heat closer to the back end because there's more tough muscles in the legs. Similar with the chicken as well. You kind of want to get a bit more heat into the legs and a little bit less heat into the breast. So the benefit of this system is you can have your fire offset slightly, your product offset slightly, and you can keep monitoring that as you go. That way your heat will hopefully disperse the way you want to do that. So about halfway through cooking this duck, it's starting to look really nice. I've lowered the grill down a little bit to get it a bit closer, get it start sort of actively cooking a little bit more. If you've got your probe thermometer, your infrared thermometer rather, it's a good time to have a look and see. The grill is sitting on sort of 100 degrees, so reasonably warm. I might bring that up in a second. Fat's rendering off nicely. You can sort of hear it dripping down and causing little flare-ups. That's not bad, as long as it's not too close. You don't want those flames to start, licking the meat at all. You can sort of see that skin's drying out, getting a little bit of colour. The underside, same thing, drying out, getting a little bit of colour. Close to the bones is sitting at about 40-odd degrees. To have it nicely cooked, we want to see them sort of sitting kind of more in that high 50s to 60 degrees there, and then the breast area sort of more that mid-50 range. So that's where I'm trying to keep it offset, keep the legs over the heat, keep the breast a little bit away from it, keep flipping it over. I'm a little bit, I'm not pressed for time today, so I'm probably going to drop him a little bit higher, let it go a little bit more gently, get a nice even cook, but at this point, if you wanted to, you could go lower, start caramelizing it, but we'll let him rest a little bit longer and come back to it in a minute. I've slowly brought the duck down a bit closer to the grill because I want that heat to just get a little bit hotter and a little bit hotter as I go. So I'm starting to get a little bit of colour on the skin, not loads. A little bit of colour on the backside, but not loads. If anything, it's probably spent a little bit more on the open side because it's protected by bones there, and I want to get that heat radiating through. I don't want to over-colour my skin. But now I'm pretty much ready to finish it off. If you didn't have a thermometer, you'd have a bit of a look. You'd try and see, is it colouring up nicely? How does it feel? Is it quite firm? Is it quite soft? You know, what's happening? If you do have a thermometer, you'll go in and around the joints and you'll check them. You're aiming for a finish temperature around the joints of about sort of 58 to 60 degrees, and then ideally about 55 in the breast. So you're trying to manage your heat, keep your legs on the hotter side. I'm sitting at a good spot now, so I'm going to start getting it a little bit closer to the grill. Keep flipping it because I don't want the fat to catch on one side too much. I want to color it evenly. And now is where I start to spend a bit more time on the skin side, get that caramelization in there, and get it coming up really nicely. Again, you want to really listen to it, listen for those sizzles. You want to hear that skin colouring up nicely. So again, this is where you've got good control. If you've got more colour on this side and less on this side, just move it. Offset it a little bit, get the heat on here, a little bit less heat here. Create the heat that you want. The temperature is just about where we want it to be. We just want to get a little bit of that last caramelization on the skin. You can see there. You can see the fat's coming off it a little bit still. That's great, but it's causing those flare-ups. So every now and again, one of the benefits of having a rack like this, you just take it off, get a bit of that excess off, just so it's not causing you too much grief on the grill. And I'm going to drop it just to last it a bit closer for a second. Nice intense heat. Really want to get that colour. Moving it around so I make sure I do get a nice even cook. It's looking pretty good. So in a second, I'll flip this over. Because you've spent so much time trying to get that caramelization on that skin, you want it to be crunchy. When you're resting this afterwards, you want to rest it skin side up. You don't want any of the juice that's left in the meat falling to the skin side and softening that skin. So he's good to go now. So we'll go high. So now you're resting up here. It's still going to be 70, 80 degrees for sure. You can finish getting yourself ready. Get the rest of the garnishes or whatever you're doing. Maybe give that 5 minutes or something like that to rest. Take it out of the basket. We'll do it the easy way. Just remove that rack. Put a tray on it. Very carefully. Flip it over. Basket's out of the way. You can carve this any way you want. If it's chicken, it's a duck, it's just about the same really. I'm just going to cut away from the breastplate. So just down the middle. I'm just going to lose that little bit in the center. So you can see there's a little bit of pink around that bone, but not too much. That's a good degree of doneness. So that was sitting at about 68 odd degrees. I'll just carve down the breast. You can just leave it still attached to the bone plate underneath it. It's easy to grab off for your guests. But at least now you've broken it up into pieces. So we're just going to finish this one with a few herbs. We've got some hibiscus leaf and some nice lemon balm. A bit of Thai basil. It'd be a good time to throw in some, maybe if you wanted like a hoisin glaze, you could do that. Or even just a very basic sort of soy and vinegar one. Thai basil in there as well. I think lots of herbs with something like this is really good. Keeps it nice and fresh. And then as our friend Danielle Alvarez would say, finish with a bit of lemon. It's quite nice. little extra salt and pepper. It's good to go.